Hi guys, Chris here and welcome to my Doogee F5 review. So this is a $139 mobile phone out of China. So a budget mobile phone, but it has some relatively good specs for this price here. It's got 3GB of RAM. It has a MediaTek MT6753 CPU on it, and it's got a Mali T720 GPU. Those are relatively good kind of specs for this price range, considering. And it does have a metal frame around it. Here you can see it's got a complete metal frame. It's not a unibody frame. It does have plastic on the rear here. And there is a fingerprint sensor, which normally we don't see on these entry-level mobile phones out of China. And 2 LED flashes on the back. It has a Samsung 13 megapixel rear camera, microphone there. And on the bottom, we have our micro USB port for charging and OTG. The loudspeaker here, it's just come out one of these ports here is the speaker. Mic on the bottom for voice calls. And the bezel goes all around the outside here of the frame. So we have a back button, home, menu. Top here we have a 5 megapixel front facing camera. So earpiece. There's an LED right on here, LED for status. Which flashes when it's charging and you get a missed call, and there is an ambient light sensor and proximity sensor here. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone jack there for your headset. The right side of the phone we have volume up and down. There's a power button. Now I don't particularly like the location of the power button. I think they put it in the middle of the phone there. It would have been better if they had the volume up and down and more up here, but they decided to put the SIM tray there. I'll just quickly show you the SIM tray. And you'll notice that the trim looks a little bit different, the color here. This is because this is actually plastic along here. The rear, that is plastic as well. Now the phone itself weighs 186 grams, so it's a little on the heavy side. It's not as light as my Xiaomi Redmi Note 2. And being plastic on the back here, maybe that's going to be a little bit more susceptible to scratches. Probably not. I mean, glass or metal would scratch a lot easier, wouldn't it there? But overall, a little heavy on the heavy side. It is quite hefty, but it does feel very solid in the hand. And I'm not too fond of these sharper corners on here. If you have a look at that, that is quite a sharp corner. They have styled that. I would have preferred they've just rounded that off a little bit nicer, but I mean, it's not too bad considering the price of this mobile phone. And the screen itself, I'm not too sure whether this is Gorilla Glass. They claim in their advertising material that it is, but I have my doubts. I mean, any screen that comes with a screen protector already pre-applied, to me just screams, this isn't scratch resistant. That's why they put it on there. So, we'll have a look at the ROM now. So the F5 is running Android 5.1 on here, and the ROM itself I'm not particularly too fond of because there is these logos now. The icons here have another kind of border around them, and they've used this black theme that I don't like. You can't actually change the theme at all, which is really annoying. There's no like theming system. You can of course put Apex Launcher or Nova Launcher on here on the top, but I don't particularly like what they've done. They should have just gone with a stock Android look ROM would have been fine, just use the stock launcher. But they had to go and change that, I guess, to customize things and make it look a little bit different. So to show you there, it's running Android 5.1. Now, will this get Android 6? Well, who knows? Often they don't do major updates like that, but there was a wireless update. I did run this, and there were a couple of bug fixes, it said. So straight away, I ran that, and it did do that update, which is good to see. And you've got a couple of bloaty applications already pre-installed, and I haven't removed those because, well, actually, it won't let me. So there's Go Keyboard on there, whether you like it or not. There's a few other bloaty things. What other bloatware was installed? Well, Go Keyboard and another keyboard. So they've got 2 keyboard apps on there. And there's Xender, don't know what that is. A step counter. I mean, it's something that might be useful to some people, but not particularly. There's FM radio. It's good to see. Now, I did install a lot of benchmark applications on here that you've probably seen. There's a couple of games on here, a few games that I've installed too. And the file manager that it comes with it, standard kind of affair, not too bad. There's one thing I really do like about the phone is that when it comes to your storage, so go back into settings, your storage is really good the way it's set up, that I've seen on a few other phones, and I think it's just the MediaTek ones that do this. Default write disk. So I'm actually writing everything onto the SD card, so I have no problems with the space because I'm using a 64GB SanDisk, and I've got, look at that, available 52 gigabytes, loads of space on there, and I've just been installing quite a few large games. I don't have to worry about that 16 gigabyte ROM filling up and then running out of space. But if you're going to be using dual SIM, then you have to use the internal ROM then, don't you? So you're not going to have that much available free space later on. Just show you those benchmarks now, and just go into the gallery. I took screenshots of everything that I ran through and quickly run those through those. So here's the Antutu score. For some reason it's non-verified. I don't know why. Maybe they detect like maybe the system timer has changed on here, that perhaps Doogee were trying to cheat the score. I'm not really too sure why it's doing that, but I couldn't get it to verify. But it's 34,000. 34,000 non-verified. Minor details there if you want to check that out and compare that to your own mobile phone there. Now this is the download speeds that I got over my wireless network, just checking that out. So 40 down is good. The maximum speed that I can get out of my network is 50 megabits per second. Got 40, not bad at all. And the upload 25. 25 is the maximum I can get. So really good results there with the wireless speeds. There's Geekbench 3. Not an amazing score, but I think it's okay. I mean, the multi-core score is quite good. You can see there, so it does compare a lot slower to things like the Samsung Galaxy S5. But when it comes to multi-core score, it's right up there because it has those 8 cores there. It's an octa-core. Here's the Ice Storm Extreme score. Ice Storm Unlimited. Slingshot, 183. Now this is the PC Android Mark, or PC Mark score, the same application really from the guys that make 3D Mark. And this one here is Epic Citadel. So I ran that first on the ultra setting. Ultra high quality, 26 frames per second is not really a huge gaming beast, but that's a very demanding benchmark. But setting that down just to high quality became 50 frames per second, which was a lot better, a lot smoother. I'm going to show you some gaming very shortly on this to show you how it runs. So there's just a bit of information there, so you can see that, okay, it's running at 1.3 gigahertz. Now I thought originally that this CPU would run to 1.5, but it seems to be clocked down a little bit lower. And my battery life test that I did. So here it is. So we managed to get 7 hours, which is quite a lot. But that's the looping test with the PC Mark, that Android Mark test. And here's the battery here, how it went. With a screen on time of 6 hours and 20 minutes, I think is quite good. Keep in mind that that was running that benchmark there that was just looping over and over with that score that it gave us here. So the 7 hours, 7.5 hours is how long it should last for. I think most people should make it definitely through a whole day with this, unless of course you're gaming non-stop. Now I did test out the GPS. I found the GPS to be okay. Accuracy 3 feet when you're not moving, but as soon as you start to move around, that jumps up to about 10 or 11. So it's not wonderful GPS, but I mean it does work well. The first lock took approximately a minute or so to get a lock. It took a little bit longer than I expected. You can see the accuracy's changed there when I was moving and walking around in the street. This is a test here with 3G. Oh, sorry, no, that's my wireless still. These are my 3G speeds. Now, there's something that I could not do, was get on 4G with this phone. I don't know why. My network's supposed to support it. It's 1800 megahertz, and I couldn't get onto 4G for some reason, so I'm not too sure what the problem is. I think it could be something to do with my carrier, but I set to 4G preferred, and I just could not get 3G out of this phone here. So again, that's the working battery life score there, was the last screenshot. So that's a very quick rundown there of some of the benchmarks, testing that out. Now I'll quickly go on and show you a bit of gaming. It's GT Racing 2 here. It looks really nice on the screen. And it runs well, despite those benchmarks showing it's not really a gaming beast. This looks really good and runs surprisingly well. This next game I'm testing is Dungeon Hunter 5. That's full volume I've got it on at the moment, so just turn that down a little. Real Racing 3. Batman Arkham Origins. Eternity Warriors 4. It's a little bit laggy here in the lobby. You can see there's a bit of stuttering there going on. So let's see how it is in the gameplay. Definitely a few stutters then. Oop, again. And this last game I'm going to test here is Modern Combat 5. It's probably one of the most demanding games, this one. So a quick look around, sees a bit of stutter there.
Strike 2 to Monarch. Target eliminated. Confirm extraction location. Over. Hold up. Come on. Let's go. Thanks.
After all that gaming I just did, let's see how hot it actually is. Feels a little bit warm, just around this area. But it's actually not too bad, 31 degrees. It's not like it's going to burn your hand or anything like that. Here's a quick look at the camera interface. So we have take a photo there, just the shutter button. You can also use the volume up and down button. We have video right there at the bottom. And we have various different motion tracking, scene modes, normal photo mode, the standard. Now I have some samples up of all the photos I took in low light and under good lighting conditions. This actually takes an okay photo in good lighting conditions. It does have some issues with the focus. Focus sometimes is completely off, and the photo quality in general I've noticed is pretty average. Now if you want to see samples of this, there's a link in the description where you can download the original photos, the original video that I'm going to show you soon, and you can compare that on your own monitor and just to have a look there really at the quality and scrutinize that against maybe your own mobile phone that you've currently got. But sometimes it gets a little bit blurry on the edges. Now the settings that I used originally, I left everything stock. There's exactly how it came. So auto modes. What I did actually change on the photos is I noticed that originally this was set to 16 megapixels, so I've changed that back to 13, what it should be, because it's only a 13 megapixel camera. So those 16 there are in fact actually just hardware. 13's hardware, but 16 is software, which we don't want. And you do have high dynamic range, auto flash. The selfie camera is okay. It's 5 megapixels. It takes an okay kind of shot there. It's not too bad. There are gestures there, so you can actually just hold your hand up and it will take the photo there. Overall, the cameras, what can I say? It's not very good, to be honest. This is some of the shots here. I'll just quickly go through them. And again, if you want to see the originals of these photos I'm about to show you, then just download them and have a quick look through them. So this is some low light photos that I took. Under good lighting, it takes an okay photo. This is a high dynamic range photo. Just have a look at the shadows there of the wheel. That's flash on, and sorry, that's flash off, and this one's flash on. Some of these photos just did not come out too good at all. Here's a low light video. It looks okay here, but it's not holding 30 frames per second, I think. It's a little bit stuttery. Under low light, it's not that fluid. And some of the other photos, if you zoom in and have a look at some of the details there, it's pretty average. During the daytime though, things change and improve. You get some details there. There's a little bit of over sharpening, over processing perhaps of the images. Give it a video samples. I've already uploaded one of these.
Doogee F5, the default video settings.
It's 1080p clip. Now the 1080p clips do record in stereo, and I found the audio quality to actually be quite good. Normally on these Chinese phones, audio quality on the video is very bad, but at this point, at least for me, the audio quality seems to be good, but the video quality is, again, quite average, quite disappointing. It's not a very good camera. Although here it probably seems okay, but download, as I mentioned, those photos and have a look at them and you'll see that, yeah, okay, some of the details. During the day, the photos are good, so if you're going to be using this as your main camera, then I wouldn't really recommend it. This is one of the photos here with the focus just completely off. It's actually, if you can see that is all blurry. It just took a horrible image there. The F5 comes with a fingerprint sensor there, and it's very easy to use. Simply need to just put my finger here. So unlock the screen now. Place my finger here. I feel a small vibration and it's unlocked. It's as simple as that. And it works most of the time. There's about 9 out of 10 times it'll work. Just now and then I've noticed that it doesn't work and it would just say 1 attempt of 5. I think once you do it 5 times, it's going to block you out and then you need to just input the PIN. But you do have the PIN code as a backup. Very quickly show you the SIM card slot. So you need the tool to open it. And there's my 64GB Samsung that works just fine, and then it's really good, as I mentioned before, that I can save all my files onto there by default. And there I have a micro SIM. And if you remove the SD card, if you don't want to use that, then you can use dual SIM and place a nano SIM in the second slot here. And to quickly compare the F5 against the Redmi Note 2, both have the same screen, 400 ppi, and these screens look very similar, but I think the Note 2 screen has a slight edge there. And the Doogee is slightly larger, more bulky, and it has those squared off edges. It's also heavier too. They're a very similar kind of footprint. It's just the fact that those square edges tend to make it a bit bigger and a little bit more awkward in your pocket. And when handling it, it doesn't feel as nice. But the heavier metal frame that it does have makes it feel a little bit more premium. So to recap here, I think the price of the mobile phone, this has to be one of the better ones. Definitely. For $139, you can't really do much better than this because you've got that octa-core processor, 3 gigabytes of RAM, and you can use dual SIM if you want. And you can also put in the micro SD card to expand your memory. Not all of them support that. And you do have fairly decent performance. Okay, it's not a gaming monster. It's not a benchmarking beast. We've seen it. But you can play those latest titles there, which isn't bad. And it has that metal frame on it, the solid build, the fingerprint sensor. The only real letdowns for me with this particular mobile, I think, is the camera is not wonderful. It does sometimes have focusing issues. The low light photos are horrible. The flash isn't even powerful at all, even though it's got 2 LEDs in there, or it's made to look like it's got 2 LEDs. And it's a little heavy maybe for some people, but overall, build quality and yeah, it's all good. My main concern, the major concern is what happened to 4G. I couldn't get 4G to work for me, and that could be a network problem for me, so do check out the frequencies if you are going to buy this model, just to make sure that's going to work with your provider, because it should have worked for me. It should have worked with my provider here in Spain, Yoigo, which is 1800 megahertz frequency for 4G, and for some reason it just couldn't get it. I mean, I put the phone into flight mode, out of flight mode, and there was no way it was going to pick up 4G for me. So overall, I think not bad for the price. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you liked it. See you later.